From child superstar and an Olympian at 14 to completing the set of medals with his husband and sons watching. The life and times of Tom Daley, 30, as he retires as Britain's most decorated diver. But he won't stop knitting. It was the fifth medal the 30-year-old had won in his 5 appearances at Games for Team GB, with the first coming at the tender age of 14 in Beijing 18 years ago. And having completed yet another extraordinary feat, the father of 2 revealed that he had decided to call time on his career once and for all. It was emotional at the end, up there on the platform, knowing it was going to be my last competitive dive. Daley told Vogue, but I have to make the decision at some point, and it feels like the right time to call it a day. I spent my whole life doing this, and being able to let go of it is going to be hard. It's going to be a major adjustment. I would love for people to remember me for being a person that persevered, who persisted and didn't give up on his dream until he was able to achieve it. To currently be Britain's most decorated diver, I feel so incredibly proud. When I look back, I'm really genuinely satisfied with what I've done. Keen supporters will no doubt be having a sense of deja vu. Daley effectively retired from the sport after he won Olympic gold in Tokyo 3 years, but he returned for Paris for his 2 children. With the next games in Los Angeles, where he now resides, there is an outside chance we'll see him again in Team GB diving pants. But if this is to be the end of Daley's story in a sporting context, it has been an extraordinary ride. The Plymouth native became a household name when he was barely out of primary school, having remarkably qualified for the 2008 Olympic Games. The then teenager performed admirably and finished 8th in the synchro and 7th in the individual. The youngster was cheered on in China, his dad, Robert Daley, who was integral to his development within the sport and his support during the early years of his career. But no sooner has Daley established himself as a fixture on the world stage, he suffered the tragedy of his dad's death. Daley died of brain cancer when Tom was only 17 years old. At the time, he was dreaming of winning a medal with his old man watching at the upcoming home games. I found it really difficult to process that I was never going to see him again. Daley said on This Morning in 2021, although I knew he was sick and was going to pass away at some point, when it actually happened, it was so horrible to think about. I couldn't let it sink in that he wasn't going to see me in London 2012. It was something we had always dreamed of doing together. So it was a very challenging thing to try and overcome. While Mum Debbie has remained a permanent fixture at events in his dad's absence, Daley has a much bigger support network, his 2 children and husband Dustin Lance Black. Daley, 20 years his husband's junior, revealed he met the film director at a random dinner in Los Angeles, and in December 2013 announced he was dating a guy who made him feel so happy and so safe, with the pair going on to marry one another in 2017. His admission, via a YouTube video, made global headlines, and he has served as a powerful figure in the LGBTQ+ community, though he had admitted that the responsibility is occasionally unwanted. I think there is a lot of pressure for when people do come out to be an activist and to be outspoken, he told Vogue, and sometimes that's just not in some people's nature. One thing I learned early on is to not care what other people think, he said in an interview with Guardian. That's been useful since I've been with my husband. I'm 27, he's 47. People have their opinions, but we don't notice the age gap. When you fall in love, you fall in love. He added, if anything, Lance is very much the big kid in the house. I consider myself to be an older soul, hence I have nearly 200 houseplants. And I knit, and I like to be able to have conversations with people who have experienced a similar amount as I have. The couple welcomed their first child together, a son called Robert Ray, via surrogacy on June 27, 2018, after announcing in February the same year that they were expecting. They welcomed their second son, Phoenix Rose, on March 28 last year via surrogate.